things. I don't need that.
Just close all that schwack.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's good for now. So we'll get started. One of the things we wanted to talk about today is the role of the primary contact. And just as a little history, a little background, when I invite people to this meeting, I only invite our primary contacts from each of our organizations.
That makes sense. Unless there's some, we've had a couple situations where we've done specific things for specific, it's topics for specific groups of people, but otherwise that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. We talk a lot about the role of the primary contact, and I'm sure during the onboarding phase for any of those customers listening who remember that, you probably heard me talk about it. But Chad and I were just mentioning how we tend to stop talking about it at a certain point, and we assume that everyone knows what the primary contact role is and what the expectations are.
Lots of things change, like roles change, people come and go, systems change, clients change. There's a lot of complexity that can really go to work on us quickly, and especially now because we're all cognitively overloaded on top of it all. Right. With all, everything is really quite a lot.
Everything is constantly changing, and that's the struggle. And you've heard me say it many times before, Chad, and I'm sure our clients have heard me say that communication is key. As long as we're communicating, we can get through any issue that we run into. But communication is key, and that's why we do these. We try to get better at communicating. And
it's tricky. Yeah.
And there are multiple ways to communicate. There are multiple ways that people prefer to participate in communication, whether it's written, whether it's videos, whether it's live, in real life, which we can't have so much anymore. Yeah, all those options. And so we try to do a variety of that. I actually pulled up a presentation from 2018. It feels like this is something I just did a few weeks ago, but it was a couple of years ago that we did a presentation on how to get the most out of our services, out of our support desk. And a lot of that, from our point of view, relies on the primary contact. So this is the presentation unedited from 2018. So I'm sure things have changed. I'm going to use this as a prompt to kind of talk through this. I'm going to skip some of the things. In fact, this is a screen grab. Chad, I don't know if you were with us. Maybe this is before you joined us. But anyway, FYI,
2018, I would, yeah,
you would have joined later that year, I think. We got hit with, you can see this small number, 18.7 thousand tickets one morning because we got attacked by some foreign entity. So anyway, we had to talk about that, but we got beyond that. We tightened our security. We made it a little more difficult for anyone to just open random tickets and do anything.
Was it a Zendesk? Was it, I presume when you say attacked, you're talking about Zendesk in particular?
Yeah, somebody attacked Zendesk, specifically our Zendesk, and they just hit us with, within 30 minutes, we had almost 20,000 tickets created. And we had to work with Zendesk to clean that up because manually it just couldn't do it manually. But so I'm going to flip back and forth a little bit, and I would love for anyone who's listening, or even if you watch it later and you want to ask questions, send them our way, because that's part of communication, is understanding what the questions are and trying to respond to those. And
I try to ask really silly ones, because one of the biggest blocks, one of the biggest obstacles, or toll booths maybe, to that is, when you sit in a room full of people, when I sit in a room full of people and someone says, hey, anybody have any questions? Everyone has a question, but nobody wants to take the risk, right? Because I ask a question, it reveals what I don't know, so it's a social, there's a social contract piece to it. But I found as I get older, I'm the one asking the silly questions. And I love doing that because it always opens the door for the guy or the gal or whoever walks in sitting next to me or across the room to ask a really good question. And we wouldn't have gotten to the good question if someone hadn't, raised their hand and be like, so how come it's blue? Right? I asked the dumb question to get through it. So I always welcome silly questions because they always lead to good places.
And this live stream. I would love for it to be more interactive, even if that means at the end of the day we can't post it for whatever reason. Um,
Yeah, we
so
respect everyone's privacy.
we're still exploring how we're doing this. We're trying our best to have an open meeting, invite discussion in, but we know a lot of people, this schedule doesn't always work for them. So I have gotten feedback that people do watch the recording later. So we try to make the recording available.
And
I
worth their
think we've done
while.
it. Yeah, we've done it almost every time. There's still one recording. I haven't had time to fuzz out some of the PII that we showed. It's minor stuff, but it's important to us that we don't throw that out on
And we
the
want to
on the
model that, we want to model
yeah.
good stuff, and we make mistakes too, just like anybody. And so part of that is that transparency is important to us because that's how we learn, selfishly too.
Yeah. And just so everyone's aware, we do the recording, we put it on YouTube unlisted. So you're not going to find it if you're searching for it, but we do put it in our K base. And of course, we remind everyone where that is so
The
that they
knowledge
can
base, yeah.
go watch it. Yeah, our knowledge base. Thank you, Chad. So we limit it a little bit, but it's obviously still out there and publicly available. It's not behind a paywall or a firewall or a password. If we have to, we could go that route, but that's just another hurdle. And that's always the balance that we have to manage is
It's a
we want to
constant
give our
struggle.
yeah, we want to
Yeah,
give our clients access to information and not make it too difficult for them. But we
to
can't
get
make
to
it
it.
too
Yeah,
easy. Can't make it too easy for
too
everyone.
easy for
Yeah,
everyone.
which is if you do, you get 20,000 tickets in your inbox one morning.
It's
But
true. It's true.
yeah,
It's a happy medium, and security is the same. We're always the same in the same struggle between usability and good practice, right? And good
right.
practices, best practices are sometimes the most inconvenient things, and sometimes then they outweigh their own value in that way. So we're always trying to find a better way, more to a better finesse to all this
Hmm.
stuff. And so that's why your input, that's why we make time for this. It's a commitment on our part too. We make this time each week to be available to answer your questions, and it's valuable to us because we need to know what you're thinking, what's changed, what's good, what's going really well, and we can expect more of this intermittently. It sounds like for the next year or two. We got to figure this out. We all kind of share the same fate in more ways than one.
Yeah, and just to summarize, our view of the primary contact really is it's impossible for us to share everything we know with every one of our customers.
At
We
once,
have,
even at once.
yeah,
Yeah.
at once. I mean, we have thousands, literally thousands of individual customers that we interact with throughout the year. And there are times when we need to get information out to everyone or a subset of people, or it's just general information. So we really rely on our primary contact to be that contact point where we will share the information that we have and that we know. And it's kind of up to you to decide how much of that you share with your team. And that's where your company culture comes in, and you as someone who lives inside your organization will know better than us what needs to be put out there. But we want to give you all the tools that you need to do that. And if you have any questions or concerns, just ask and
And
we can help.
quickly and with a minimal amount of pain, because nobody wants to talk about this schwack. We know that. That's not sexy. None of this stuff is, but it can give us a lot of peace of mind, which is probably pretty valuable, especially now. For me personally, peace of
Yeah.
mind is huge. Even little things I can do to add that much to my peace of mind, and that's what we're making this time for. So thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you. So getting back to the presentation, and I probably got a little ahead of myself with this slide because it's 2 years old. I don't even know what's coming up next because I tried to minimize my presentation, and I don't have my preview slide. I'm not going to
That's
bother
okay.
with that.
We
I'm
forget
not
what we
going to
know.
mess with that.
That's a big statement, man. Just roll with it.
I'm going to be as surprised as you are about what's coming up next
Okay, cool.
on
We'll
these
figure it
slides.
out.
But I will say, we forget what we know. Sometimes we get questions about why we didn't share something with someone, and honestly, sometimes we forget what we know, and we just assume everyone else knows what we know. So
Mhm.
if something doesn't make sense, or we're not presenting something in a clear way, that's where you got to push back and say, hey, could you explain that to me? Or could you
Sure.
help me with X, Y, or Z? I
Is
think
the
that was the
second one,
meaning behind
does
that
the
slide.
second one have any forget? Oh, no, no. Okay. It's just cool that you start out with something that has the word forget in it.
Yeah,
It's like, was
yeah.
that planned, or was that just happened?
I don't remember, honestly. But I remember this part. The whole piece of this slide is encouraging people to contact us. And one of the challenges that we're up against is most, help/support
The
desk
stereotype.
don't, yeah,
Yeah,
they
you
don't.
bet.
I
You
mean,
bet.
I don't like calling a support desk.
There's a pride. Yeah, there's a pride piece too. I mean, I remember, even before I got into tech formally, being self-conscious, not wanting to, like, feeling like a
Yeah,
moron. I didn't want to contact them. I'm like, I got to be able to figure this out. But meanwhile, I'm not getting my work done. And eventually I had to swallow my pride, and I was lucky because it was, someone who had patience, and a little bit of grace, but they're rare.
yeah. So unfortunately, the stereotype is that calling a support desk is not a good experience. Of course, we try to flip that on its head and give our clients a great experience, but of course, they need to give us the chance to do so. And we made a very intentional decision early on with Forget Computers to make it easy for our clients to contact us. Meaning, there is no, like, I'm personally will think many times before calling my attorney, because I know as soon as I get my attorney on the phone, the clock starts ticking and the dollars start racking up. But I wanted this to be the exact opposite of that. I wanted our clients to be able to contact us at any time, no additional charge, and ask us questions, because it's so much easier to troubleshoot and resolve and help early rather than
Yep.
late. And
Truly true.
if we determine that there is going to be an additional charge, well, of course, we'll have that conversation. We'll get approval. We'll proceed if it makes business
Ahead of time.
sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, don't be afraid, ever be afraid to contact us.
Yeah, our team is
Um,
amazing. I mean, they really are. I mean, it's easy to take that for granted, but it's also easy, to your point, to flip that over, Ben, the way you have. Is it's really easy to think that it's going to be a pretty typical experiment. All these um, teammates have unique personalities, and they're I don't know how, maybe it's the Apple lineage. Most of them come through Apple, and they have this really nice balance of people and technical skills, which is not easy to find.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for that. And I just realized that I can see the preview on my little
On your other
menu
one, your
bar on
presenter
my
screen,
MacBook
nice.
Pro,
Oh,
the
cool,
little keyboard, but they're so
nice.
small that I'm not sure they do me any good. So anyway, support versus help. We made years ago. We used the term help desk and help at Forget Computers. At some point, we changed to support and support at Forget Computers, and the rationale behind that was we really are here to support you. Um, you know, there, what you're doing, and your business better than we do, but everyone occasionally needs additional support, and that's what we're here for. And it's a minor change in the wording, but we consider ourselves a support desk to support you. So let's
Cool.
see. Okay, so this is a little story about how sometimes people, when I get the question from clients, whether they're brand new or sometimes well established, they will say to me, "Who is our primary contact? I need or want a primary contact." And we used to work in this way. The primary contact back in the day, when it was just me, I was your primary contact. But there are some problems with having a single person as a primary contact. I'm
Hmm.
often in a meeting, so I'm unavailable.
Sometimes they like to go on vacation every now and then, and
That's right. That's on
somebody
the
else has
list.
to have
That's on the
a
list.
clue. Yeah, it's not easy to just, how do you say, distribute information
Yeah. So
once one person has it all.
yeah. So there are lots of reasons why assigning one person to an account is not the the best way to get support. And I'm not talking about long-term like project planning or strategic planning. I mean, oftentimes Chad and I are involved in the strategic planning of some big projects, or certainly security. But when it comes to day-to-day
Break
needs
fix,
and
tactical. Yeah,
support, yeah, the support desk is really
they're
the ideal
waiting.
solution,
They're ready.
because the support desk is really a funnel to get access to our team, even if it's me, even if it's Chad, even if
Hmm.
it's someone that you've been working with on an issue ongoing. It's still the best place to start. It We have more
Helps
availability.
prioritize
Yeah,
and helps maintain equity and all kinds of responsiveness, and it's part of the mechanism, the hidden machinery that makes helps us handle everything that we need to handle the best way.
yeah. Unfortunately, the people that are listening to this or joining us today or watching later, they're the ones that already know this.
They
They
know
use
all
our
this. Yeah.
support desk. They know how to contact us. But the message really is for those people that for whatever reason sometimes still feel they need to talk to a single person. And the people that do that, if they would just trust the system, which is, even if you need to get a hold of me, like the best way to get a hold of me is really through the support desk. And the additional benefits of the support desk is we have a documented conversation, a historical reference, a central conversation where we can go back and look. For example, if someone says, well, I already talked to, you know, Andrew or Enoch or Nick about this, I don't really want to rehash it. Hey, that's fine. As long as we
There it
have
is.
a
It's right
ticket,
there.
we
Yeah.
can go back and look at it and then give you a call back. And this is why it's also typically a bad idea to grab somebody when they're in the office, which, to be fair, we haven't been in the office for many
Yeah.
months now. But it's pretty common for someone when you're in the office to grab a resource and, like Enoch, and say, hey, can you help me with this? And of course, Enoch's probably on his way to do something else. And so you just interrupted him. And now he may or may not be able to help you. But if he doesn't document it and you don't document it, the next time you call in and Enoch's not available and you say, hey, I need help with that thing that Enoch fixed last week, and
It's tricky.
now
Yeah.
we don't know what that is. We don't know how he fixed it. We have to go find him. And my point is, there are benefits to getting this stuff documented. It can really help. And sometimes it seems like a small thing, and it seems like this is such a minor thing. No one needs to know about it, hear about it, or will ever need to remember it. But it's those little things that turn into much bigger things down the road. So it
Those
can really,
trends too,
yeah.
those trends can help us. I've had situations where some of those trends have helped us help others save money, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
we see, for example, like or improve a workflow, save them time, which is arguably more valuable, which is to say that discover a certain part of their workflow that was really kludgy. And we see support requests or something come, and that's a trend. Maybe that once a week or once a month doesn't seem like that
Yeah.
big of a deal, but over a year or 2 years, we can really start to see some trends and those kinds of requests, and we can address those in our our quarterly or annual strategy meetings with our folks to say, hey, these are the top 3 things that are really causing a lot of productivity issues, and sometimes
Right.
we can use that to great advantage.
That's a really good point. There's something in the industry called trust but verify, meaning we want to trust what people tell us, but we also have to verify what they're telling us is accurate, because not everyone has a complete understanding of how things work. Um, so if we hear from someone and they say, this is always happening to everyone in the office, that's sounds like an emotional statement. It's always happening to everyone in the office. So we want to try to verify that. And sometimes we discover that it's happened to a few people occasionally in the office. And maybe it's a big deal, maybe it's not. But it does help to have, as you mentioned, Chad, that historical reference of, if people are having issues that they're not bringing to our attention, or rather only one person is bringing it to our attention, it's hard to make a business case that time and attention needs to be spent always on that one situation. Like, we may troubleshoot it, we may spend some time, but obviously if it's affecting a much larger group, then that's a higher priority item. And I'm not trying to sound like we want to treat every
you're just,
issue.
trying to illustrate the value of this system, right? And and the value is exists on, more than one. There's a couple of levels where it really delivers a lot of value. Communication is definitely one, and insight, into operations is another one where, selfishly, I spend a little more time in each ticket, maybe an extra few seconds, trying to find ways to add value to it, because I know it might not be that urgent right now, but who knows, 2 months from now, it might pay off.
So as our primary contact, you as a primary contact are better positioned even than us to see and hear these trends, typically. Meaning, typically people in your office will feel more comfortable bringing a concern to you when they may not be bringing it to us. So my ask to our primary contacts would be, if somebody in your office comes to you with a technology issue, is for you to ask, have you opened a ticket, with Forget Computers? And if the answer is no, then encourage them to open a support request. And if you want to, you could say, copy me so I can be involved. And then you can also help us communicate whether this is a growing issue, a trend, a one-off. It's just another set of eyes and ears, and it can be really beneficial. What is typically not as beneficial is if you, as the primary contact, open the ticket up on behalf of somebody else, and we never get to have that conversation with the person that's actually having the problem, because that's the phone game. And the phone game means that you're interpreting something to us, and then the core or original message is sometimes lost or distorted. So it's great to have a direct conversation and for you to be an observer rather than for us to play the phone game. And Pat, does everyone know what the phone game is? I talk about it. Okay.
I do.
You play that telephone, as a kid, where you say one word. Yeah, telephone. Yeah. Use a word or phrase. You go around the circle, and by the end of the circle, it's totally mutilated.
It's like purple marble licorice. That's not what I said.
Yeah. So we want to avoid that. And
purple marble licorice.
Yeah, and sometimes, this is relatively rare, but sometimes we get people who just they like, I only want to talk to Chris. Chris is my guy. I got to talk to him. It's like, well, that may be possible in some cases, but it is going to slow down the ability for us to respond to you, because we have a whole team of people who are here to help. And really, you want to be focused on the support desk, and then the support desk is going to find the right resource for the job.
The tiered structure, still applies, right? I mean, we do have some tier 1 level, engineers, and tier 2 and tier 3, and we really have to allocate those. We are a small team, we're like a dozen people, and so we do have to allocate our time and our resources, wisely. If we just threw our tier 3 at every problem, it wouldn't really serve anyone very well. And so, there's a bit of a rhyme and reason to it, isn't there?
Right. And we do have certain expertise, especially
across
Chris Youngstead, across the board, but also in some cases, like Chris Youngstead is very adept at fonts.
Yes.
Now we're trying to bring all of our team up to that level, but that's such an obscure area of focus, and Chris has just learned it so well by working here for 20 years that he knows fonts probably better than anyone.
He's like he should write a book. He would be a world respected expert for sure.
So there could be a reason why we may say, hey, I really want Chris to look at this, but we also may, any one of our team members could take the first pass. So how to use our support desk, I think I did a demo at this point, but I'm not set up right now to do the demo. Okay, first we'll talk about how to contact us. Most of you know this, but you can send an email, you can go to the website, and I will say, as a primary contact, please use the website, because the website's going to give you much more functionality than email and even much more functionality than our support menu. It's going to allow you to do searching, to see history. I think it's worth it to become familiar with the website. And if you have any specific questions or issues, or you like a one-on-one tutorial, let us know. But I don't say that to everybody. I don't think all of our clients need to live in the web interface, but as a primary contact, I think it would be helpful if you were familiar with it. And then of course we have support menu, and I must say we have tried to get a new version of support menu out, and I think we're 2 to 3 years behind schedule. We rewrote support menu in Swift, but then our developer got pulled away on a project, couldn't finish it. Our summer interns last year picked it up. They got so close, so close. We have a version that I just need to finish a few rough edges. And then our new developer got busy after COVID or during COVID. And so anyway, support menu still works. It works on the Mac. I think it technically works on iOS, but can't guarantee that. Definitely works on the Mac, but we're trying to get a new version out. That being said, as a primary contact, support.forgetcomputers.com is a great resource. And then always know that you can call us. So yeah, here's where I do the demo. I'm not going to do the demo today.
Should I do some background music while you're talking about there's not a demo?
Yeah, right. But I will in this recording point to the 2018 recording where we did a demo, which I think still is applicable. So tips to save you time, and this is really just for our primary contacts, and maybe if you ever need to coach anyone in your team who's interacting with us. Let's see what they are, Chad. I'm curious to see what our tips from 2018 were.
Survey said, take time to save time.
Yeah. So yeah, take meaning sometimes we get a request, hey, I've got a problem. Can you fix it? Boom. That's it. That's the entire message.
Grandma used to say that. Well, she said it a little bit differently. She'd say, how someone does anything is how they do everything, she'd say.
Yeah. So all we're asking here is just take a little bit of time to articulate, whether it's verbally or documenting, some details of the problem. Because to be honest with you, we do have to prioritize. Like sometimes we get inundated. There's certain hours of the day where we get inundated with a lot of requests. And if we don't know, is this a low priority? Like you can't sync, your music to your iPhone? Or is this a high priority, the server's down and nobody can work? It really helps to have some context. So voicemail is documentation. Some people seem to think that if we don't answer the phone immediately, that we're not available. And that's far from the truth. But as I said, we sometimes get inundated. And so we need you to leave a voicemail, because a voicemail will trigger a high priority ticket. And it will also give us a documentation to respond to. A hang up, meaning no voicemail, leaves us with nothing. Yes, we have a call record that we missed a call, but to be honest with you, this is a fast-paced industry. We're constantly dealing with new issues. We do not have the capacity to go look at our missed calls and call people back.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Answer everyone. That's why that automation exists.
Yeah, it would be awesome if we could do that, but honestly, there's no need for it if you just leave a voicemail. So
ticket gets created and prioritized.
Yes, and you have to leave that voicemail to trigger that ticket. A hang up won't do it. And then voice conversations. I talk to my team a lot about how at a certain point we need to pick up the phone and have a conversation. Like too many times tickets go back and forth, support requests go back and forth with not enough progress, simply because we're missing something in our communication. And that's where a phone conversation is really critical. And I want to encourage you as our primary contact you also have the power to pick up the phone, or encourage your teammates to pick up the phone and call us, because sometimes we're not as good as I would like us to be when it comes to when to pick up the phone. For years, I've wanted Zendesk at a certain point to say, you're not allowed to enter any more information until you pick up the phone and have a phone conversation.
Call them, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way
Well,
you
let's see.
think.
Are those all the? No. Okay, we're all
We're all
adults. Yeah, this
adults. Yeah, in
this is
theory.
another one. Occasionally, it's pretty rare, very rare amongst our client base, but occasionally we get people who think that because they pay us a few $100s a month that they can talk to us in any way they'd like. And
We
I'll
have
be
had to
honest with
fire clients in the past. I
yeah,
mean, nobody likes to be in that situation.
yeah, right. And I think we all know from helping other people that you're much more motivated to help someone when they're asking for help and asking for support and asking for an adult to adult conversation. But if anyone is feeling emotional, and I know technology can be frustrating, and it
And
can be
now, I mean, we're
frustrating.
all cognitively overloaded, and there's, we're so many of us are in situations that are, hard to imagine. Some of us, the things that we're up against, and today, and good thing we're all becoming more informed and sort of. It's hard to chop apart things sometimes, but it's okay to give people a little more space than usual.
Yeah, yeah. So adult to adult conversations, and and I think this is last but not least. Don't give up. And what I mean by that is sometimes we will get a request that sounds very basic, maybe similar to thousands of other requests we've received. And we think we know the answer. And we say, could you try this? And sometimes people try it and it doesn't work and they give up. And then I hear 2 months later, so and so is having an issue. And I say, what have they tried? And they say, well, they tried what your team said. I said, well, did it work? No. Like, well, what'd you do next? Well, we didn't do anything. It's like, well, we need to hear that it didn't work because we're not going to give up. And we hope that you don't give up. So sometimes the process of troubleshooting is a process of elimination. And why start with the heavy hitting? Why bring a tank to a knife fight if we can just bring the knife? So let's start there and work our way towards some more heavy duty troubleshooting. 9 times out of 10, that process works. It's when it doesn't work that people get frustrated, and there's no way to know until you try it. So please don't give up. Continue working with us. We will not give up on a
We won't
problem.
give up. No, we don't give up.
Yeah.
Very solutions
Okay.
oriented.
Yeah. And so that was the end of the presentation, and then we this was the next one of the
Nice.
2018 series, Security
That wasn't so
201,
bad.
Advanced. Yeah. Um,
Nice.
and I think we've stopped doing um, dedicated security presentations like this because we just talk about security all the time.
Yeah.
But to your point, Chad, we do still need to get the team together uh, and talk about security awareness. And you've heard us talk about it over and over. Don't give up on that. Do not give up on security awareness training. For those of you
Yeah, it
out
was
there, you've heard me talk about PII Protect, the online component that we offer to our customers. If you're not doing something like that, let us know. And certainly, if you're not supplementing that with a more customized in-person or Zoom type presentation,
just a couple
specifically,
times a year,
yeah,
a couple times a year in for the custom stuff, that address specific, characteristics about your business and your client base. A lot of your clients, a lot of these initiatives aren't driven by our clients. They're driven by our clients. And that's really the kind of the differentiator for a lot of folks as they get into the security, building their security practice and their resilience practice, as we call it. It's more about being prepared for a lot of different things. And one of those things, unplanned, unpredictable things, is the Fortune 500 is asking more of their smaller partners. They want more clarity, and doing these kinds of things has to be demonstrable. It has to be, there has to be some kind of concrete proof, because when we, get audited and walk our clients through these things, we know the kinds of things that those security and audit, governance and compliance teams are asking for. And that list is changing, right? It's not the same as it was a year or so ago, is it, Ben?
yeah, right, exactly. Everything's constantly changing. So if we haven't talked about something in a while and you're curious about it, let us know. And that's something
Yes.
else. We do everything we can to proactively take care of your technology, but we can only take it 80, maybe 90%. That last 10, 15%, 20% is really about interacting with us. And we need you as a primary contact, and some of the owners when they have strategic conversations with us, or business leaders, team leaders, to really bring information to us, because there is so much information out there. We cannot all be experts at it or keep up on it. Excuse me. And that's why, we want to get better at communicating. We want to make sure you have the tools like our online ticketing system, like our Vision Bot device dashboard, which is also important. In fact, we're going to be making a slight change when it comes to notifications. Notifications, traditionally, we have reached out to individuals. Excuse me, I got an itch. Okay, so traditionally, we've reached out to individuals on a team about, for example, a full hard drive. Well, we're going to try something a little different, and we're going to reach out to our primary contact, maybe once a month, showing a summary in VisionBot of those people who have full hard drives, like nearly full hard drives. Because this is just an example of an important issue that people often don't take seriously until it's too late. And we need someone on the inside to kind of help us nudge the shoulders of those people.
Because that's a drag when a hard drive gets full and things start slowing down, and then suddenly your Lappy or whatever locks up. That's a drag, and be able to prevent that for somebody is really satisfying. Our team, you would be surprised the things that make them really happy, and this is one of the things that makes them really happy, to be able to stay out in front of this stuff, or to get people to work with them on this. So it's not an inconvenience. I mean, you're not putting us out. This is what we're here for, right?
Yeah, and one of the comments that I saw during the presentation was, I know the phone game very well, LOL, and thanks for that. And I'll also mention that if anyone does have communication challenges, because we all do, but if you have communication challenges within your team, also reach out to us. I mean, we have over the years been sort of forced to get better at communication. So I'm not saying that I can give you a silver bullet of how to communicate with your team.
But we have worked with lots of different politics, and we've worked with lots of different teams and different challenges. And, we sometimes we can help you out with some of that stuff. You'd be surprised some of the things that we can, get past together. Good communication.
Yeah. So we can definitely work with you on how to improve communication within your organization, how we can help you and support you around that, and how we can try new things, because everyone learns differently, everyone communicates differently, and we're trying our best to communicate in ways like this, in ways like our knowledge base, in ways like our
you said
presentations.
Knowledge base.
What's that?
You said knowledge base.
Yeah.
Nice.
Instead of K-base, KB.
Yeah, we all have those habits. We call each other out on that stuff all the time, man. It's cool.
And our podcast. So we started a podcast. Are we due up tomorrow or next week for that?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. These weeks are flying by.
It's nuts.
And yet I can't wait for 2020 to be over. So
I don't know. I mean, this is probably going to last a while. I talked to a pal of mine who's a researcher out in New York, and the kinds of things that he's seeing. He's directly involved in some of these programs, public policy stuff at this point. He's not so much in the lab anymore, but it's interesting to think about this from a resilience perspective. What resilience meant, say, post 9/11 was one thing. Right, we had a kind of a set of goals, and then when we talk about resilience or security, right, that's going to change now. Again, it's changing right now, right before our eyes, and so it's a really great time to have some of these conversations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, that reminds me, if anyone watching now or listening later has ideas on what you want to hear from us, please let us know.
Yeah, we're open to that.
We had our own internal conversation this morning about how we really are, most of us, expected to work from home much longer than I think any of us ever anticipated. I know there's been some talk about soft openings and people going back to work in a certain limited capacity, but everything's changing so quickly. The point is, we spent a lot of time in the beginning talking about working from home and how to improve your home network and your Wi-Fi and just making that transition. And I feel like we've talked enough about it, but now that some people have come to terms with the idea that they're going to be working from home maybe through the end
They're
of the
just
year.
starting to be open to it. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that what we're hearing now, we're having, folks now reach out to us, and we can send them the links to the recordings and the things and then the articles and things that we've published. And, I've even spoken at a couple of virtual conferences, and talking about some of these things, but it's something that still, it takes a conversation, and we want to hear your questions. We want to hear your concerns. And, we're always, happy to make time for them. We might be able to like drop everything we're doing, at that moment, but we can certainly, plan to have those conversations with you, because the future is going to look different, whether anybody likes it or not. And so it's important to start talking about it now, even if you're not going to do anything, start making plans for those, those budgets and those requirements.
And then one last thing related to that is we discovered just by conversations that we have a handful of clients, partners who put on live presentations or conferences throughout the year, and they're all struggling with how to put on those meetings and gatherings, over the next 6 to 12 months. And so I just put an email out, and I don't know if I reached everybody. So if you listen to this or you hear this and I didn't reach you, let me know. But if you put on a conference of any kind where people get together, in real life traditionally, and you're struggling with how to do that going forward, let me know. I will include you in the introductions. We're basically trying to introduce people who don't know each other, who are also clients and partners of ours, so that they can kind of get to know each other and brainstorm about how they're all going to be handling this, because it is a challenge. And I see my wife, who works at a university, going through this. All the universities are trying to figure this out.
Yep.
And maybe some
Many
of them are
hands
communicating.
makes easy work.
What's that?
Many hands makes easy work.
Yeah. So that's just one example. If you have something you're struggling with, and you bring it to our attention, if we have others who have the same struggles, then sometimes that, making those introductions can be very helpful, because that's a decision that goes beyond technology, how to handle a conference. Yes, technology supports a conference, but there's obviously so much more that goes into it. So anyway, if we
These
try to
problems
connect people,
many of them have already been solved, and
and
sharing that is a quicker way to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, and now I'm just babbling. So thank you all for joining us today. Have a great rest of the week. Have a good
Thanks for
4th
joining
of
us.
July. We are closed on Thursday. That's the national holiday for the 4th of July, and I guess we'll all be setting off fireworks in our homes. I don't know what.
All night again.
Yeah. No, I guess the lakefront is, well, the lakefront hasn't had fireworks for years now. So, but Navy Pier has had fireworks. So I don't know.
Yeah, the XRT thing, right?
Will they have it this year? Or do they want to discourage people from congregating?
I don't know that they're doing anything. I don't think they are doing. That's what I've heard, but I haven't verified.
Yeah. Does anyone know? Can anyone chat if they know if Navy Pier is having fireworks? I don't know. Okay. Well,
I don't know.
We'll
be safe.
We know how to find out. Wait, correction. We are closed Friday, not Thursday. Did I say Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
thanks for joining us.
We're not closed Thursday. We're closed Friday.
David.
Friday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right on.
Bye.